horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Fancier in the morning continued to drift. He was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon. My name is Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and to chew the fat, the original pair of bar stewards, John Lang of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. What a week we've had, John. An action-packed show we've got today. And anything you'd sort of like to start us off on? Shall we have a look at York this week and what we did and how we did it? And
absolutely. I'm still at a loss to explain how we did it, to be honest. But
Wednesday started off with a picnic, and then it went from So Wednesday was picnic day.
Burn day.
Yeah, and 5 times course winner Copper Knight kicked us off with a kick in the nuts. Then we had the Aiken with the big kilt, 25 to 1 perk. We were floored by that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember me and you, John, we were like watching screen in like disgust, as if to say, what? What's happened? We both look like Dubawi legend, I think, in that quite a bit. Then John, I've never seen John move out of the chair faster in the 3 o'clock in the Voltager when your beer comes slamming through. You got all the rice and peas and the finger clicking in the final furlong when your beer were hitting the front. As John was delighted at that result, John. Yes. You enjoy that?
Well, that paid for earlier problems with Dubawi legend anyway, and sort of covered a horrendous result later on.
Well, it was Black Wednesday for me. I did my conkers, but Wednesday was the worst day of the week. And Mishriff, and the thing is, I went against my own advice because I'd put on my notes on the morning. Mishriff price has been hammered in the international into 13 to 8. They've took the juice out of it. It's gone off 9 to 4, and Ian Davis has like swooned me with his Mohafeth all week. And, like you said, he's taking that horse home at the end of his career. It's going to, Mrs. is going to have to sit in garden while that sits in the living room.
That now, because I think it showed itself to be a sappy little bitch at the end of that race.
Yeah, we were disappointed.
Another 100 yards he would last, weren't he?
Yeah. So I think it looked like a future Sky Bet Stakes Group 2 horse at the May meeting. That kind of horse. Or is it the June meeting? I'm not sure if it's John Smith's meeting. The one that Chris ransacked to Paddy in. You know which one I mean.
Yeah, if you're going to go out with that, I think once it's knackers off, to be honest.
Yeah. So anyway, I went against my own advice and fell for Ian Davis's spiel. You've got to blame someone, haven't you? Everyone blames someone. Mishriff obviously won impressively on ground faster than we thought would probably be there on the day. Then we went on to the 2 mile Sky Bet handicap where Arcadian Sunrise won for the Dirty Irish and Dirty Spencer at 11 to 4. What did you back in that?
The winner in the second.
You did, yes. Look at that. Bingo, bongo. Lang with the forecast. And the day, you see, John improved throughout the day. Real sticky start. And then in the fourth... I'm going to say he got better for a bit anyway. The 4:45 was won by Tweet Declan Carroll. I was sick because I got mid-Winster for the Crown Jewels, and Norban, second and third Dutch. We always love a Dutch that's second and third, don't we, John?
Oh, beautiful. I just backed Norban.
Yeah, and I think Norban's one to take from that race because I just think the way the race was run, he found himself in impossible positions and then had to switch and move about. Yeah, so I like Norban in that. I think he's going to pop up at some point this season. And then the finale, which brings us to a question from obviously one of our members, one of our members. We've got a subscription service going now. Members. He's called the Golf Club 19. That's the 2019 on Twitter. That's what's thrown me. And he says thoughts on some of the rides this week. And one of them was Papa Cocktail and Jacob Mitchell, John.
Yeah, I mean, round about the 3 furlong, Paul, I could feel my soul looking for a rope to hang itself with. You never go right there when you're gone 17. You know, you're limiting your options in a field that size, but for some reason Jack took his brains out. And I'm absolutely convinced we should have been right in among it there. I mean, going down to the 3, Paul, he wasn't off the bit. He was cantering anyway. You know, I think I've dug a good bet out and that got paid. Simple as that. Yeah,
I mean, as it proved all week. I mean, Will Herr goes on about he's put a question in. He says, "Why is there a track bias this week?" I think in general, York on the straight course has always offered a track bias. You don't want the far rail and you don't want the stands rail as a rule, until obviously you get weird ground and the heavens open and they migrate to the stands rail. But as a rule, on the first day, you wouldn't want to be coming down the stands rail wide on the flank. And Jack Mitchell never moved and decided, I'm going to come that way. I mean, Flaming Rib won from stall 12. It's, you know, a Wonderful World with 6 from stall 16.
Well,
so it was possible.
My reading of the race, I thought he'd just track Bosch, you know.
Yeah.
And well, he didn't, did he? So there we go.
Like you say, very frustrating for us that, because you'd swayed me and it kind of soured the day, and then we had to make our way home to some sour tasting drink. So we move on to the Thursday. And then we started the day suited and booted, polished and, you know, brushed up. You know, we'd done everything. We'd sorted the sideburns out, everything. And we ended up on the roof terrace, sipping champagne. Our good friend Andy Richmond came to join us a bit later in the day. And we started the day off with the Lowther, won by Zane Claudette. And did you back that?
Yes, I managed to eke a few quid out there just because I wasn't entirely convinced the favourite was Valio, and I thought that had done quite well at Ascot.
Yeah, the Princess Margaret, yeah.
It wasn't an inspired selection or out like that, but it put a couple of quid in the till anyway.
Cool. Then Ever Given won the Yearlings race, and obviously I was on the 5th horse, and I was jumping up and down because my commission agent had managed to get me on 5 places, so I didn't do it in a Mojo Maker, so that saved the day. What did you do there, John? Were you Mojo Maker?
Yeah.
And then we were just getting into a few bottles by then. You know, the bottles were flowing. You know, I think your soul had left the building, and by that time, it was left to Thick Dave to bring home the beef with Cruyff Turn. I mean, if there was a weak turner, and I mean it's in the name, Cruyff Turn. This turned the week for me, because I was staring down a barrel. I'm thinking, if this carries on the rate I'm hemorrhaging money, you know, I'm gonna have to sort of, you know, on the borrow. And Cruyff Turn from Thick Dave. And do you know what? There was a tree blocking our view to the video screen. And I got up, you know, through the sways of the crowd. And I only managed to see the last two furlongs. And I was still trying to spot Thick Dave. And he was like, I thought, wait, he's headed, he's beat.
Well,
and
he got beat twice in this race. I mean, he was edgy to post. He was sweating like a sweaty thing. That pretty much lost a lot of confidence by then, to be honest. Then he jumps off in front, like trying to lay the massive trail. I thought, oh, you sick twat. And once he was headed, that was it. He was done with, beat. And Thick Dave did his own version of a Cruyff Turn, nutmegged every bugger, including the fullback. And
the sardine in the closing stage.
Brought up the bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Old Dave does the sardine. Never mind Martin Dwyer and his comments. He shoved one straight up, slim and sardine. As we move on to the Yorkshire Oaks, then Snowfall obliterated the field. Obliterated the O'Brien pacemaker. We weren't that impressed, John, were we?
She's run 100.
I'm in total agreement with you. You said, how is this 9-4 favourite for the Arc? And it's absolute madness.
You'd have to take your brains out to back it, wouldn't you?
I think so, because I don't honestly. I mean, I'm not sure Longchamp would be Adair's cup of tea, but we'll see. But I'm certain if you put them to Ascot, I'd back Adair in a match.
Derby winner went round Epsom fine. It won't have any problem with Longchamp.
Good. I'm glad you give me confidence, because the thing is, what people forgetting as well in the King George. I think we all said, including Fry. Fry was on the show and she said he did very well to win because of his keenness. You know, he was keen. You know, a fair way around the course, and I think he did very well.
It'll help him in France because you want one that travels around there. You know, you want him jumping into your hands, really.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. If he's going straight to the Arc, it'd be very dangerous, I think.
Yeah, no, that's me and John both against Snowfall in the Arc. We're not quite believing she's the next super filly like Enable was or anything like that. So that's our opinion there. The nursery handicap next, Al Flaler of the Owen Burrows yard was the eye catcher. Stall 16, caught on the flank all the way, which was not the place to be, as we saw with Papa Cocktail, etc., and everything else on flanks before the Saturday. So Al Flaler for me has to be the eye catcher of the week. In third, John.
Pound upgrade, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we both like the winner, Harrow. You backed Harrow, and I like Harrow physically as well. I think there's some development there, so I wouldn't knock the winner in any shape or form. But yes, I would be very keen to support Al Flaler wherever it is next time from that nursery. Then we move on to the Galtrees, and I was absolutely. I mean, this is not. It's not fair, is it? Because we sit there, you know. I mean, it's the build up, the adrenaline, more champagne. You know, by that time, that scab of a woman sat down and nicked Andy's drink, and and we thought, what's the world coming to? Disgraceful. And then next minute, abstinence headbutts the train driver in the head and can't run. And then we looked at the finish. I think me and you both looked at the finish that day and thought, well, it probably would have won.
This race, really, it was like picking a lass up in a cocktail bar. She's listening to all your bullshit and smiled while she's listening. She's paid for the taxi back to yours. She's straight up the stairs, hasn't even bothered going in the living room. And then as you walk into the bedroom, she just kicks you squarely in the nuts and necks your wallet.
I wonder if that's happened to any of our listeners. Again, I love the way you describe things. I get mental images, and yeah, that's
the race. That was the Galtrees, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've both lived it in pictures.
We're getting more and more confident. You know, I mean, there wasn't a bother on her when she left the paddock. She went down a post like an old shape, and then all of a sudden, Casey Jones gets one right in the yap.
Casey Jones.
And
I like that.
Gosh, there you go.
Yeah, and then the last race was the fillies handicap, won by Sweet Enough. It's a filly I've always liked, back to the time before. Never bothered in that race. I think we
live there then.
Well, yeah. I mean, your soul had left the building; it had gone, and all that was left was a shell. I think by that point, and all I was looking at was Bob Ogden. I'm thinking, what's Bob Ogden's night's going to be good
I was trying to find anybody with a spare ticket for his party, to be honest, because I'd have just gone and done. I'd have done the lot. I'd have went, you name it, whatever was going to happen. I'd have been mainlining, snorting, the lot.
Brilliant. It's a Friday, so we got through that, and then we decided we'd give Friday a miss as in attending, and then it was the mile and a half handicap to set us off. Did you do anything there?
To your disgust, I think you might remember I mentioned about the winner in running.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Sam Cook. I felt a bit bad about it, to be honest, having punted my Frankel and put it out as well. But you got to do what you got to do in running. If
Absolutely,
you think he's there and going well, you have to have a little play. I didn't win a great deal on the race, but I did win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a race basically. I'd got no massive view. I did have it on my Frankel. I thought it had improved for the ground. It looks dead, if I'm honest. I think. Yeah, it's just. I mean, again, it's summer stouts this year. I've been like that, and it ran a bit distressing, really. Strad in the Lonsdale. Some people even called after this race. I watched bloggers' video of him lifting it, and some people were calling for Strad's retirement after this, John.
Yeah, I can't really understand that. I mean, he's not going to make a superstar say it. I mean, if the owner's enjoying having him running in these races, why the hell not?
Yeah. I mean, what's he going to do? Like you say, the thing is, I think Nielsen came out with something like that. He was hoping for some flat mares, potent flat mares, but I don't think you're going to get that. You might get a few of the Jumps boys knocking on the door for a while, see how we go. But I don't think as a stallion he's got.
He's the wrong bloody colour anyway. I hate chestnut stallions.
Yeah, chestnut stallion, not the right colour.
No stats, but I just don't.
Racist bloodstock talk on the pastures. We hate chestnuts. This is a good job we don't hate bays and blacks, but we hate chestnuts.
Well, the gingers aren't at the end of the day.
Exactly, gingers. Yeah, gingers really are the scourge of the world. I mean, half of Germany was ginger back in World War II. I mean, you saw the tank commanders. All got ginger. So that's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, Strad for me, I don't like you said. I think he would. There were a bit of idling there for me, though. Having said that, I watched the replay back. Frankie switched his whip 3 times in the last furlong. That's pretty good by any jockey's standards. And to switch it 3 times, left, right, then left. I think that's a bloody amazing ride, to be honest. So the blogger has the sardine to thank for that. We move on to the Jim Crack LaSalle one from Giza Sub and Twilight Jet. Left me with a feeling, John, of a very below par Jim Crack.
The only highlight out of the Jim Crack for me was the fact that Mr. Tute had ducked the Jim Crack where I was going to have a decent bet on his horse, the organiser. He took it to Salisbury for what I'm sure he thought was going to be a lap of honour, and went and bumped into one and got duffed.
got chinned.
Yeah. That was the only cheery point about the Jim Crack for me, really, and didn't reckon much to it at all.
No, I don't think it's form going forward to follow. And then the Nunthorpe, obviously, Happy Tim with Winter Power. I mean that was some performance from this filly. I mean, she seems happy at York, like a happy thing. But you've got to say, I think if Sueza is probably drawn a little bit lower, I think Sueza goes quite close. And
she's a good horse, isn't she? I mean, you wouldn't cultivate her in Abbey, would you?
No, she's drawn well. I mean, I've seen prices of 7-2, which make me. I was thinking it's not bad because if she's drawn, if she gets a good draw, she's probably going to start. What would you say, 6-4, 11-8? I would say. around that price? I know you've forget glass slippers. I mean,
if you go straight there, or would you run the Vernons first?
Don't
Have
know.
Vernons, wouldn't she? But 6 furlongs, and I think he said she's definitely a fair furlong filly, didn't he?
A 5, yeah. Yeah, Swayzer, I think, is the one for the Abbey out of all that. In the maiden, the Convivial, was you impressed by the winner? I know some people had said to me after they're very impressed by the winner. What did you think?
I was taken with the first 2, actually. I thought they ran nice races, and it usually turns out to be an alright sort of race, doesn't it? I mean, I know Kevin Ryan usually runs 3 in it. That's no fucking use whatsoever, but... because I invariably track most of the runners that go in the Convivial, because with it being so expensive, I think it's a race worth keeping an eye on, and most of the ones Kev's running, that unusually for him with York Maidens, turn out to be bags of shite.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think physically to the winner? Did you get a good look?
Yeah, I did. I think it's quite a nice horse. I think it'll go on. I think definitely make a 3-year-old.
Cool. Because I know this is a race you like to always keep a little watch on, and so the favourite, Who Yamal, for the Andrew Balding yard. I managed to back the 15th of 16 with a kilt, but you learn from backing the kilt. Well, I don't learn to this day, but backing the kilt is just a route to the poorhouse. But I did. And then we move on to the 440. No, we don't. It's the 33 to 1 shot Flying Ginger. Did you back that as well?
Of course not.
Of course, Aaron.
Very good reason why not as well. It was the trainer had absolutely no wish to have a winner at York this week, and he went and did it.
Gobby Rog.
So...
Yeah.
At least it's in quiet when they brought it in.
And then came the 5:10 at York, and I come in for more stick on Twitter for Royal Fleet. I sort of put up the defence at the time for Royal Fleet's defeating this as like a wide draw. Right. I'm gonna sort of say that maybe the hood didn't help, the first time hood, and also he did lug in a little bit. There is something. He has obviously got a serious engine. That I've no doubt, and he'll probably still end up 110 plus. It's just the fact of him putting it together. Because what one chap on Twitter said, he thought it was still disappointing. Kind of get your reasoning there. Not many win from that draw, which is why I didn't back him. That's why I put it on Twitter. But King Triton run third for the Northallerton Juice trainer in Grant Tour, with Haley on off 85, ran well. John, what did you do anything in that?
About King Triton, I thought that ran a really promising race actually, because it ran to me in a manner that indicated it might have blown up about 3 out, and then it got its second wind and kept on again. So my gut feeling is Grant can get this a bit fitter. So I certainly wouldn't give up on that horse, but I hope they swap the jockeys for the next time.
Yeah. I certainly think Grant will get that to go forward. So a good run there. The Saturday started with the Trensel Stakes, a Real World pissed up really in the end at evens. Kind of sick I was. I mean, I did mention it the night before. I said we're all on this if it's fast. There was that much doubt with the morning rain, because obviously me living in York, you see puddles and everything else, and you're thinking, how's this going to ride? I just didn't know. I'll be honest, what do you do? It's first race of the day. If it had been second race of the day, I'd have probably gone wading in with like satchels. That's how I saw it. Did you see it that way?
Yeah, I mean, there was a massive part of me hoping that the rain would hit sooner, but I did feel on reflection on the day that if it had been set fair, I'd have probably had a better day anyway, because there was 2 there I probably would have hammered had I known that the ground was going to be fine. and one of them was Real World, of course.
Yeah. That's what it was. The Melrose, one of our favourite races of the year. I mean, expertly put up by Richmond as one of his second choice, I think, to do. He was keen on Dushan. He got the fourth, and he mentioned Valley Forge very keenly. And I shouted bastard out at this race because I'd backed the second Mashawa. I'd covered on Dushan, a little bit on Tashkan, because the hairy gorilla from Norton, didn't want to see him win and me not have anything on. So I've got the second, fourth, and fifth. I'm thinking a furlong out with Moshawa, Dushan, cantering on the ready to pounce, and then Balding does me.
Yeah. Again, I must apologise for the after time here, but I did actually.
You and Andy, you can get in the sea, really. No, I mean fair play.
Just in running, but it was always travelling well. But I mean, I had plenty on Dushan. I thought it was an absolute bet to nothing each way, and I had plenty on. I also backed Surrey Gold, who I thought felt the ground a wee bit, and I would not be backing him on any faster than good to soft at least in future, but I do think he's definitely got a race in him. I like the way he shaped really on ground that was probably against him a tad.
Yeah, good call, John. Top call, Bickley 14 there. Space Blues did what was expected of it. Thought the price was a bit skinny, but kind of did what it said on the tin, didn't it?
Yeah, they didn't want to lay that, did they? Blood was far timer and far trebles was going in, wasn't it?
Circle Jerk was on fire for that night after that race. 335 was the Ebor. Sonny Boy Liston winning for the Irish. Yawn. What is it with these Irish? I mean, the reason why I say this, right? I mean, forget the winner, forget the result, and we'll come on to what we're going to come on to in a minute regarding your bet. But I've looked at some of these Irish profiles. I mean, Shanroe, Carl Thornton's that were fourth, right? Yeah. I mean, you look at I've gone back through its form. It's a nice horse. It's obviously a good bumper horse, really good bumper horse back in the day. But again, it's now in the hundreds, and these horses are able to compete with the top flat guys. And there's half of me thinking, what do they, we've said it before, nuts and air. I mean, these things just seem to keep finding all the time. They're making a mockery of I think, our festivals and our big staying handicaps. They can't beat us when it comes to speed because the Irish haven't got the, it's like cool, the speed. They haven't got the speed. They've got the staying power. But they haven't got they can't win the Group 1 sprint. They can win the big staying handicaps and it's just, I don't know. There's something, I don't know. Doesn't sit well with me.
Hell of an effort with Shanroe, isn't it? Really, because I mean it's only £20 behind the market head over hurdles in April.
It's just how I see it. I just think sometimes, look, we know the Irish are very good at planning, like to target. I don't take that away from them. They're more than happy to, like old school, they're more than happy to have 2 or 3 coconuts, a couple of preps. We can do it a little bit different. We like to win an handicap and look on the up. I just think sometimes these Irish lads, they just, I don't know, there's something he doesn't quite add up with me. I mean, Sonny Boy Liston, again, more than entitled to be at this level, won a listed race, had the spin up behind Hookham. But Roberto Escobar beat him that day. You were just behind him, also having a spin up. And that's what I'll come on to. Max Vega. I mean, you were ready to like chuck somebody at road, I think, after that.
I was. I mean, it was beyond frustrating, really. I mean, as you know from the previous York run, I've been mad keen on this for Eber. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, Jesus, what is happening to me here? I mean, he nearly got knocked over 3 out. And I think he's run a storming race to finish where he has. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really know what Peter Crouch could have done to avoid what happened, because I wanted him held up. He held him up. His position was akin to what he was lumbered with in the draw. I think he was one off the rail turning in. So he was always going to struggle to get to the near side. The near side, as far as I could tell, was where he wanted to be, because that rain had got in a bit far side where the ground had opened up.
Yeah.
So I can't blame him for having a look and seeing what he could do. While I was desperately disappointed that I wasn't right in the shake-up, which I think I should have been, I don't really blame Peter Crouch. I've thought about it. I don't know what he could have done differently, really.
Yeah. I mean, I was frustrated for you because I obviously didn't watch it. Do you know what's funny, right? After your reasoning, I made it my biggest winner in the race, and I wasn't watching it. A bit because I'd also got Sonny Boy listed, so I tended to, like most punters, you're focusing on your eye what's like flying,
yeah,
and then you stop watching everything else. So then you go straight on to me after the race, and you were like berserk. You were like, no, this is unbelievable. Just watch this back. So I did. I rewound it, and I just can't believe what I saw. I think, like you said, I don't think it was the jockey's fault. It was just really, really unlucky. And I think I honestly felt that had that horse had the clean run to the line, you would be literally with the first and second. Like we can't say it would have won, but it would have all bar won. It ain't all won, Yeah. And I did feel for you, and I said it was also my biggest winner, because I was looking at the prices on the off, and I thought this is still not bad at around 29.30 on the machine. So, and I believe I looked at your reasons, and so a great call, John. I do think we got a bit of stick this morning from Frankie on the blower. He's every right to, so we've only got 1 from 9 this week. 2 didn't run though, Hamish and Abstinence. And I do feel that, we haven't made a profit in terms of P&L, but I don't think we've done badly in terms of, the pod on Friday, the reasons we gave, just how it is sometimes. Yeah, Stall 16 for Royal Fleet didn't envisage that. You didn't envisage the ride on Papa Cocktail that you got. It's tough. Racing's tough. Big festivals, we have to deal with it.
I think we dug some fair bets out, to be honest. I mean, it's funny. I was saying to you when we were going in on Wednesday, didn't I? I said, this season really we haven't really had a massive slice of luck in running with anything.
No.
I honestly thought we would go a bit, but apparently not.
No, like I said, we've had some great performances this summer. Great Shergar Cup. We've done some great Bar Steward specials. So Frankie on the blower, listen, we'll be back. Don't you worry about that. Going on to another question, Mike Martin says from YouTube. Thanks for your comments, Mike Martin. Glad to see you enjoy the show. He says, what do we think to the stick readings on turf tracks like Clark's of the Course? What would you go on? So obviously Mike's probably learning about the game and the ground and sort of what to expect. Any advice for him, John?
Well, I think if you're concerned about going and it not being as advertised, the best thing you can do is keep your own records on stick readings and have your own interpretation of what they mean. It's all right to stick reading at 6.5 and then the clerk tells you it's good to firm. You want that backed up with the afternoon's racing by horses nutting standard at least. And if they don't, make sure you were recording it that the actual going is different to the recorded going. Otherwise you're going to be out the cock when you're doing your farm study.
Yep, good advice. I mean, obviously, like Turf Tracks is a reference of mine. The Turf Tracks Stick Going archive, Mike. If you look at that, you can look at goings of the past where Nick Davis has also told us about goings of yesteryear. 10 years ago, Ascot were calling going in the 9s as good to firm. Now they'll call going as good to firm as 7.8 and 8. So you can see where we're at here. We can see how the game's moved on. And it's always good to do plenty of research on that. Like John says, try and back it up with the times on what the Clarks said on the morning. And, just do your own homework on that, and then you'll get an edge on the crowd. Good advice, John. Question from Ian Davis, who's obviously on the floor from Mohafeth. On the floor this week, Ian is. But he says, was York different class to Epsom, Royal Ascot and Goodwood this year? And did leaving the taps alone contribute to that? And second question, was it really the ground good, or is Hamish fragile and simply went wrong on the day, but they wouldn't admit it as they want to either keep him for another race or perhaps sell him, John?
Wow. I don't think so, would be the answer to the Hamish question. Harris did say in the paper that morning he wouldn't risk him on good. I tend to take that at face value. We weren't there. We didn't know if he was there with it open to the waist walking the track. So we don't know for sure, but my gut feeling would be that he was genuine in what he said and did. And I would expect him to have a target lined up for Hamish fairly quickly, because the horse is obviously going to be at its peak. He's well familiar with the racing calendar. He's not adverse to travelling his horses. He's probably got something in mind over in France or somewhere, maybe even Germany.
Yeah, no, fair comment. Also, regarding Ian's first point, just basically an observation, what I've seen from Twitter over the last 2 days, racing Twitter, is that that we're the old men of the sport now, and the way that the way it's not to be marketed. Bloggers, the future of marketing, attracts the younger people to the races. Are we done for, John?
Probably. And not always for the better. The last 10 years, really, I've sort of felt the game drifting away from me a bit, how it's presented, even like in the trade paper and things like that, I used to like reading Gallup reports and things, even if it was only to say how much they contradicted what I'd seen with my own eyes. But, you don't seem to get that level of detail even now. And as I say, the way it's presented is in a manner that they assume everybody's in that social stable and going to duff £9 during the afternoon.
Do you think? Obviously, from what we saw at York, it was a good atmosphere. Can't deny that. But I think the sad thing and the way things has changed, obviously from when we were younger, is I think people like sat there looking at the race cards, or the racing purse or the Timeform race card or the notes they brought from home. And you've literally got none of that. You've got men and women sat round tables, giggling, laughing away, drinking away, and they might have a £2 tote bet or whatever they do. And I thought that was quite sad to see, that we're not really encouraging, or the sport isn't not really encouraging, more about racing, how it works, how to bet, how to spot value. Like you said, look at the horse in the paddock. None of this. It's all about, get your bottle of champagne here.
Yeah, what what I do notice about things like this, I mean, I've got clear memories of like '79 when Troy won what was the Benson and Hedges and things like that, you know. And while the crowd numbers, you know, I mean, they would compare favourably. I mean, York's altered a lot since then and can take more people, but as regards it being packed, it was bloody packed then, you know.
Yeah.
There was just less places to actually move about and do your thing, if you like. But then you had this hardcore of regular racegoers, and the only way they dressed up for the ABA meeting was the fact they wore their least damaged suit. You know? Last week we must have seen 1,000 where we were, brand spanking new suits from that, whatever catalogue they'd ordered them out, or they were probably sending them back after they'd been at the races. Yeah, you know, and it was more like a fashion parade, whereas people made the effort years ago, but not to the extent where they all looked like they were going to a wedding, you know. And it's the social angle has overtaken the fact you're going to see some bloody good racing. And I don't really know if they're going to get that back at all. I don't think they will, really.
No chance. I think, I mean, the ship sailed. I was briefly there Saturday for a bit, and I mean, like you said, you make a good point, and I'm not downing this. I'm just saying that the amount of overdressed ladies or underdressed ladies, if you like, you know, overdressed, like you say, it's like a social gathering, but they're not really there for the horses.
No.
It's more or less as like because how many open air gatherings do you get in society these days in the daytime, where this is an official gathering? You pay your money, you've got table and chairs, you get champagne bar. It is a good atmosphere when it's sweet. I do concede that, but it's not about the sport, is it?
No, not at all. You know, I mean, John Smith, the former manager and clerk of the course, I mean, half of them he wouldn't have let in. Yeah, you know, and as I say, there was this hardcore of regular racegoers who you saw every year at the ABA meeting, you saw them every year at the Dante meeting, Magnet Cup, all the lot. And, you know, I mean, they weren't picking them out the race card on the day. They'd already done the work. They had the paper with them with the notes on, and, you know, I mean, they're just getting less and less and less.
So that brings me on to Paul Brighton's comments to finish this off, and he says, just an observation, guys. He said, I've been to Cheltenham Festival 25 times, Royal Ascot once, and now Ebor Day once. So this was his first time at York. And he says, perfect BHA crowd, no racing knowledge at all, but gambled a little bit and drank loads. He said, I like a drink, but I don't drink until I fall over. And he said, so much flesh on show too. So he's a little bit different to the Fez, Paul. Obviously, Catherine Fry would be firmly in your camp. She's a Fez lover, and like many very knowledgeable people down there, and that follow the sport. And absolutely, I concur that the York Ebor now is not really about going to see the splendid horses on offer. I do feel if you're coming to the Ebor meeting, the best day to go if you're a knowledgeable race goer, I think John will agree with this, is the first day. John, do you agree with that?
Absolutely, no question. Because
that's the day that everyone wants to see the top mile and a quarter horses in the international, and that's the most, I think, the best day. If you're coming racing to your only one day you can choose, the first day is the best day. You'll get a better crowd. You'll get less of what you obviously saw. And point taken, Paul. We agree. We are probably dying out, I'm afraid. Nothing we can do about that. Anyways, on to some different subjects of the week. I noticed, I think of interest for us all, really. First one was the Turt World Pull, John. So Turt have been doing a World Pull for York this week. They've advertised it as a massive success of the Turt. They've said 22 to 23 million pound a day in the World Pulls. We've got one question from a listener, and he says 22% takeout there. Where's that going, John?
Well, it won't be going into prize money. It's a fair assumption.
Embarrassing. Yeah.
You know, I mean, Baldy owns the Turt, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. Still, I mean, I said we've talked about this on many a sermon, and we've said racing for racing not to get the Turt has to be one of the biggest own goals I think I've ever seen in any sport. Because if racing then has the Turt, it literally has the funding. When prize money's in trouble and the levy's in trouble, it has the prize money to then take control when things get a little bit desperate. And as we know, it's getting desperate because we're losing a lot of 80 to 90 rated horses to King Kong and elsewhere. That's why we can't. That's why the racing calendar are all up in arms. Why are we getting so many 4 and 5 runner races? It's not that it's too much racing. There's the same amount of meetings as there were last year. The problem is, the fact is, you can fill 0 to 60s all day long. I've seen it on the BHA deck site. Every morning, a 0 to 60, you could have 4 divisions. It's literally inundated. But you try and fill a 0 to 95 or a 0 to 90 handicap, you know, you'll have 5 runners because they're all gone. They've all been sold. They're gone. As soon as they're worth any money, King Kong comes in or someone comes in, and it's too tempting for an owner that knows they can win a bag of nuts, winning a 0 to 90 at Ripon.
Entirely, you know, it's just part of a catalogue of errors that racing has made. You know, I mean, alongside not having its own exchange.
Yeah, catastrophic error, and we don't know where that money's going, John Dewick. But we move on. Listen to also a Carm Berry and Richard Haywood interview this morning. Richard Haywood is a sporting director at Betfair UK and Ireland, and Carm Berry did very well getting him on, asked some pertinent questions. I was a bit disconcerted with his answers because he reckons that these affordability checks are a legal standpoint. They are not legal, right? So basically, it's not the law to basically make an affordability check on someone's account. Now, a friend of mine came to York the other day. His account, right? I'll tell you the circumstances. This is how ridiculous it is. He's a casual punter, loves the festivals, goes to festivals. He's a proper race goer, not one of these alfresco merchants. And he put £200 in his Bet365, right? No, that for the York week, that was his budget, and that's a higher deposit than he'd normally make. But it was for the week. That was his budget. Logs in on the morning for York. You've been no account suspended. Affordability checks. I mean, and meanwhile, we used to call Time Foam Sleepy Hollow, but I mean, the BHA surely now have got the accolade of Sleepy Hollow because this is going on and going on. And you mentioned today, John, you had a dreaded Betfair email today.
Yes, we want to talk about your betting. So obviously, in true gentlemanly fashion, in order to respond, I deleted the email. So yeah, I'm clearly a marked man, and I'll be getting further involvement, I don't doubt.
Yeah, it literally is now a real poor state of play for punters that are, I would say, unprotected. The Gambling Commission, and these are the horrific facts. There's some, and bearing in mind, John, the Gambling Commission is a government quango to try and sort gambling out, right? Or problem gambling out. Here's some stats for you. So the Gambling Commission's annual report for 2021, they have made a £19 million loss. The staff costs are £21 million. The CEO is paid £220,000. All directors are paid £140,000 plus. They've got a total of 355 staff, paying £21 million. The average wage at the Gambling Commission, bearing in mind, what do they do? $59,154 a year, when the $26,000 is the average UK wage, John. What the hell is going off in this industry?
Well, do you know what wouldn't come to £1,000 last month?
Go on.
The amount any of them fuckers bet on anything.
Yeah.
That's the bald facts of it. You know, I mean, we're in the hands of people that just probably don't even like betting. You know, I mean, I'm counting the days until Dido Harding gets a seat.
it'll be some related.
Yeah.
It really is a disgrace.
It's in the poster there, isn't it? You know, I mean, the letter's being drafted, you can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't waste enough on test and trace, so let's see if we can get her somewhere else where she can shift a bit of money into the pockets of the people that don't need it.
And listeners, if you haven't had the dreaded gambling restrictions email or the affordability checks, it might be coming to somewhere near you at some point. Lots of people I know that's had it. Winners have had it. Long-term winners have had it. I've had it myself. I was out of the game for 3.5 weeks this year due to it, having to prove funds and income that I shouldn't have to do. You know, it literally is very scary. We're in scary times as bettors, and this I think sums it up. John sums it up. The people on these boards would not know betting if it fell over them, and that's it. No idea whatsoever. They are getting paid lots and lots of money basically to mess this game up, but look good and score points by saying yes. A few have chucked themselves off bridges because they've done the brains in on slot machines online, and everyone's got to pay the price for that. It's a disgrace, and it needs to stop. But will it? Probably not. Like John says regarding the direction racecourses are taking regarding Blogger Stallion and the kind of clientele they want to attract. Final question, serious question anyway, comes from Michael Toms. MV Magnier buying loads of shite, John. According to Michael Toms, he says what's going to happen here with Coolmore, etc. He believes things aren't quite going Coolmore's way, obviously with the demise of Galileo, etc. I've noticed a lot of big purchases from Coolmore in the last 18 months, especially. They've been purchasing big, and Richard Walsh, who is a breeder who listens to the show, he's messaged in. He said it's a mixture of everything, really. The reduced influence of long-term employees that were there, involved in the stallion produce and making aspects of racing, now gone, and now they have their own people employed. Wouldn't know a good horse if they stood on its droppings in a stable, said Richard Walsh.
I think Coolmore have had a bloody good run the last 10 to 15 years, definitely. And maybe the man at the top, John Magnier, hasn't had his hand on the tiller so much recently. I mean, if you cast your mind back to when all this started, there was a hardcore of enchanted leprechauns who were doing the selecting. You had the Merlin of Tipperary, Vincent O'Brien, who, in my opinion, would be the finest judge of yearling that's ever walked the earth. Yeah. Backed up by the likes of Tom Cooper, the vet, Punches Down Pat, P.P. Hogan, all people that knew exactly what they were doing. Even the likes of Billy McDonald, who was selling jets and interceptors in his spare time rather than doing any agent work. You know, but he found time to buy Alleged for Robert Sangster. And you can't buy that kind of experience. And I think if you carry on your success to a certain extent, it'll still go for so long because you're getting broodmares and the like from stallions that they selected, and these immaculate bloodlines and faultless horses, faultless conformation, and hard runners that stand the training, and to keep that going indefinitely is something else,
Yeah.
And, I do tend to think they've had a bloody good time of it, a bloody good run. And it wouldn't surprise me if they made a few iffy purchases, because that ought to be the way of things now. I mean, if you could just carry on doing the same thing as you were doing when you had 5 geniuses going to Caneland, what does that make the geniuses?
Absolutely. No, top points. I mean, the thing for me, that, like you said, every beginning has an end, and you've said it before about Magnier before, and you said they're very shrewd cookies, not just
face of the game. I mean, he was kicking himself for not bidding for Nijinsky when Nijinsky was syndicated to go back to Winfield. That's how far ahead of the game he was. I mean, there was still a good 5 to 6 years, and all the bloodstock, the champions, there wasn't a chance of them going anywhere, really. I mean, I know Mill Reef went to the National Stud, but I mean, Paul Mellon was different gravy. I mean, he'd do anything for the good of the game, but people that were looking at the commercial angle, everything just went to America, And I mean, we had a spell we couldn't win anything. I mean, the Frogs were winning all our classics, and that was
true. Yeah. Cricket and
that was when they set up the original Coolmore Syndicate, in order to create stallions. And in the early days, they still had a hell of a job. I mean, the Minstrel was sent back, Alleged was sent back, because they couldn't resist the power of the dollar, the bids they were getting. I mean, Christ almighty, they got about $28 million for Stormbird. I mean, and you couldn't make that back the way the breeding industry was in this country at the time, because you were looking at 40 covers a season. So the share price, in order to get that kind of money, you look at a 3-year earn out on a stallion, and then you're on the gravy train after that, but you get your money back over the first 3 years. So, I mean, 40 coverings on a $29 million stallion, people weren't up for it over here, so you could understand that.
Yeah. No, fantastic, John. Fantastic insight. Right, we're nearly the end of the show. We've overrun our time, but it's been I did say it was a action-packed show. And one final question from John Hines, which is a funny one. And he said, "You've rushed for the train back from Ascot. You've pushed women and kids out of the way for the last seat. You sigh with relief and look up. Opposite is your worst nightmare for the 4-hour journey back up north. Who is it, John?"
It's Gobby Flaming Rog, and he's won the Young Cup and the Wolferton, and he's had an each-way double. I'd be chucking myself under the train, never mind on it.
I had this vision of you sort of like Gobby Rog sat there as you get there, and straight away, these are my mental. You create these. It's not me. It's you, right? So I'm watching you, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's off. So you're out at carriage, you're on roof, and it's like the old Octopussy Bond film with Turban Man chasing you on roof. And you just anything to get away. It's like I'll do this. I'll duck under tunnels until we get to the station. I can just see that. I know you very well, so I can just see that if Gobby Rog sits opposite. Classic show tonight. I hope we've covered a lot of the topics. It's been a very, very busy one, obviously. We hope you enjoyed the York Fair this week. We'll be back on Friday. Myself and John and another selected to go through the weekend's racing. That's all from us this week, and we hope you have a great one. Bye for now.